Hi, and welcome to Past Perfect Continuous. Let's get started. So you remember that if I say I have been running, this is an example of present perfect continuous. But if I say I had been running, we say this is an example of past perfect continuous. And you also remember that I hadn't been running. Remember that this is a negative sentence. And had I been running? Remember that this is a question. Good. So let's move on. The past perfect continuous tense is used to show that an action started before a point in the past and was still in progress until that point. Let's have a look at this example. John started waiting at 9 a.m. I arrived at 11 a.m. So this is an example of simple past. This too is an example of simple past. So you remember the time, 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 10, 11. Now let's have a look at this. This is what we have. Talking about the past perfect continuous tense. John had been waiting for 2 hours when I arrived. John had been waiting for 2 hours when I arrived. You remember 9, 10, 11, 2 hours. So let's have more examples about the past perfect continuous tense. Or before that, imagine that you meet John at 11 a.m. John says to you, I am angry because I have been waiting for you. So later you tell your friends, excuse me, John was angry because he had been waiting for me. I'm angry because I've been waiting for you. Later you tell your friends, John was angry because he had been waiting for me. Good. The examples. After we had been working for days, we stopped and took a break. After we had been working for days, we stopped and took a break. After she'd been waiting for hours, she was tired and slept there. After she'd been waiting for hours, she was tired and slept there. He had been sleeping for 3 hours when you called him. He had been sleeping for 3 hours when you called him. We'd been looking for him for weeks before he came back. We'd be looking for him for weeks before he came back. Not difficult, right? Let's move on. We'd been training for 5 months before you joined. We'd been training for 5 months before you joined. She'd been working for hours before he helped her. She'd been working for hours before he helped her. He had been teaching for 5 years when I visited him. He had been teaching for 5 years when I visited him. You remember, for example, you say, she'd been sleeping for hours when I came, not she was sleeping for hours. She was sleeping for hours when I came. Do not say that. I'd been working for 30 minutes when you called me. Not I was working for 30 minutes when you called me. But you see, this is correct. She was sleeping when I came. I was working when she called me. You only remember that, or what you say is that here we have past continuous. Not difficult, right? Let's move on. So here, different examples. Cause of something in the past. I was thirsty because I had been running. I was thirsty. Why? Because I had been running. I performed well at the theater because I had been practicing. I topped our class because I had been studying hard. I had an injury because I'd been playing roughly. We won because we had been training. So you see how the examples are. You remember cause of something in the past. Good. Here, this is what we have. Present perfect continuous. We also have past perfect continuous. So our first example, I am tired because I've been running. I am tired. Why? Because I've been running. I'm tired because I've been running. But you see here, what we have is I was tired because I'd been running. The ground is covered in snow because it has been snowing. The ground is covered in snow because it has been snowing. Here, The ground was covered in snow because it had been snowing. The ground was covered in snow because it had been snowing. My clothes are dirty because I've been working. My clothes are dirty because I've been working. Here, my clothes were dirty because I'd been working. My clothes were dirty because I'd been working. Good. The boy has a headache because he has been crying. The boy had a headache because he had been crying. He had been crying. There, he has been crying. They are wet because they've been walking, because they've been walking in the rain. They were wet because they'd been walking in the rain. They'd been walking in the rain. Not difficult, right? Let's move on. So here, our last examples, as you can see, reported speech. So for example, she said, I've been working since you left. This is what we have. She said that she'd been working since you had left. She'd been working since you had left. He said it has been raining. He said that it had been raining. He said she's been lying to you. He said that she'd be lying to you. John said, I've been trying my best. John said that he'd been trying his best. Not difficult, right? So that's it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Before I say goodbye, you remember that a contraction is often used in informal speech. So that's it for now. Until next time.